Good morning. Good morning. So we are on chapter 4 of the Magic of Thinking Big, and it is how to think big. And what we got up to yesterday was see what can be, not just what is. Big thinkers train themselves to see not just what is, but what can be. And we're up to example number 4. Just a reminder before we get into this is that Unleash comes down today. So if you have not watched it all, get into it now. Make sure you watch it all. Do the worksheet if you registered. If not, maybe you should have. If you don't change what you do daily, you're going to end up having the same results. And you don't just do it once. Like, I'm changing what I do daily now to get a whole different set of results because I'm not happy with where I am anymore. Yes, it was great back when I thought smaller. Now that I think bigger, the results that I'm getting now are not in alignment with that. So I have to start doing things differently every single day. And it's not just, I'll just do it for a couple of days and see how it goes. It has to be a commitment. It has to be that I'm going to do it every day. And that's what I'm willing to do because I want the different results. And that's where you've got to maybe think a bit differently about you. You can be, do, and have anything that you want. But to have different than today, you've got to do different than today or different than yesterday, because today you're creating tomorrow. So look for areas where you can change. Make a list of the things that you don't want in your life anymore, and then decide what you're going to do on a religiously, consistently, and you're going to persist in that energy levels until it changes. Yes, you'll dip down, we all do that, but it's coming back up, coming back and going, hang on a moment, what just took control of me? Was that the old me took control and moved this vessel of mine to do things this way? You bring it back. You have a do-over. You change what you do daily and you will change your results. Okay, number 4. What determines how much you're worth? After a training session a few weeks ago, a young man came to see me and asked if he could talk to me for a few minutes. I knew that this young fellow, now about 26, had been a very underprivileged child. On top of this, he had experienced a mountain of misfortune in his early adult years. I also knew that he was making a real effort to prepare himself for a solid future. Over coffee, we quickly worked out this technical problem, and our discussion turned to how people who have few physical possessions should look towards the future. His comments provided a straightforward, sound answer. I've got less than $200 in my bank. My job as a rate clerk doesn't pay much, and it doesn't carry much responsibility. My car is 4 years old, and my wife and I lived in a cramped second-floor apartment. But Professor, he continued, I'm determined not to let what I haven't got stop me. And that was an intriguing statement, so I urged him to explain. Now I have to underline that. I am determined not to let what I haven't got stop me. It's this way, he went on. I've been analysing people a lot lately, and I've noticed this. People who don't have much look at themselves as they are now. That's all they see. They don't see a future. They just see a miserable present. My neighbour is a good example. He's continually complaining about having a low-paying job, the plumbing that's always getting fouled up, the lucky breaks somebody else just got, the doctor's bills that are piling up. He reminds himself so often that he's poor that now he just assumes that he's always going to be poor. He acts as if he was sentenced to living in that broke-down apartment all the rest of his life. My friend was really speaking from the heart, and after a moment's pause he added, if I looked at myself strictly as I am, old car, low income, cheap apartment and hamburger diet, I couldn't help but be discouraged. I'd see a nobody. and I'd be a nobody for the rest of my life. I've made up my mind to look at myself as the person I'm going to be in a few short years. I see myself not as a rate clerk, but as an executive. I don't see a crummy apartment. I see a fine new suburban home. And when I look at myself that way, I feel bigger and think bigger. And I've got plenty of personal experience to prove it's paying off. Isn't that a splendid plan for adding value to oneself? This young fellow is on the expressway to really fine living. He's mastered this basic success principle. It isn't what one has that's important, rather it's how much one is planning to get that counts. The price tag the world puts on us is just about identical to the one we put on ourselves. Here is how you can develop your power to see what can be, not just what is. I call these the practice adding value exercises. Number 1, practice adding value to things. Remember the real estate example? Ask yourself, what can I do to add value to this room or this house or this business? Look for ideas to make things worth more. A thing, whether it be a vacant lot, a house, or a business, has value in proportion to the ideas for using it. Number 2, practice adding value to people. As you move higher and higher in the world of success, more and more of your job becomes people development. Ask, what can I do to add value to my subordinates? What can I do to help them become more effective? Remember, to bring out the best in a person, you must first visualize his best. Number 3, practice adding value to yourself. Conduct a daily interview with yourself. Ask, what can I do to make myself more valuable today? Visualize yourself not as you are, but as you can be. Then specific ways for attaining your potential value will suggest themselves. Just try it and see. A retired owner-manager of a medium-sized printing company, 60 employees, explained to me how his successor was picked. 5 years ago, my friend began, I needed an accountant to head up an accounting and office routine. The fellow I hired was named Harry, and he was only 26. He knew nothing about the printing business, but his records showed he was a good accountant. Yet, a year and a half ago, when I retired, we made him president and general manager of the company. Looking back on it, Harry had one trait that put him out in front of everyone else. Harry was sincerely and actively interested in the whole company, not just the writing checks and keeping records. Whenever he saw how he could help other employees, he jumped right in. The first year Harry was with me, we lost a few men. Harry came to me with a fringe benefit program which he promised could cut down turnover at low cost, and it worked. Harry did many other things too, which helped the whole company, not just this department. He made a detailed cost study of our production department and showed me how a $30,000 investment in new machinery would pay off. Once we experienced a pretty bad sales slump, Harry went to our sales manager and said, in effect, I don't know much about the sales end of this business, but let me try to help. And he did. Harry came up with several good ideas which helped us sell more jobs. When a new employee joined us, Harry was right there to help the fellow get comfortable. Harry took a real interest in the entire operation. When I retired, Harry was the only logical person to take over. But don't misunderstand, my friend continued. Harry didn't try to put himself over on me. He wasn't a mere meddler. He wasn't aggressive in a negative way. He didn't stab people in the back, and he didn't go around giving orders. He just went around helping. Harry simply acted as if everyone or everything in the company affected him. He made company business his business. We can all learn a lesson from Harry. The I'm doing my job and that's enough attitude is small, negative thinking. Big thinkers see themselves as members of a team effort, as winning or losing with the team, not by themselves. They help in every way they can, even when there's no direct and immediate compensation for other reward. The fellow who shrugs off a problem outside his own department with the comment, well, that's no concern of mine, let them worry with it, hasn't got the attitude it takes for top leadership. Practice this. Practice being a big thinker. See the company's interests as identical with your own. Probably only a very few persons working in large companies have a sincere, unselfish interest in the company. But after all, only a relatively few persons qualify as big thinkers. And these few are the ones eventually rewarded with the most responsible, best-paying jobs. Many potentially powerful people let petty, small, insignificant things block their way to achievement. Let's look at 4 examples. What does it take to make a good speech? Just about everyone wishes he had the ability to do a first-class job of speaking in public, but most people don't get their wish. Most people are lousy public speakers. Why? The reason is simple. Most people concentrate on the small, trivial things of speaking at the expense of the big, important things. In preparing to give a talk, most people give themselves a host of mental instructions like, I've got to remember to stand straight, don't move around and don't use my hands. Don't let the audience see me use my notes. Remember, you don't make mistakes in grammar, especially don't say for he and I, say for him and me. Be sure you tie your tires straight, speak loud but not too loud, and so on and so on. Now what happens when the speaker gets up to speak? He's scared because he's given himself a terrific list of things not to do. He gets confused in his talk and finds himself silently asking, have I made a mistake? He is, in brief, a flop. He's a flop because he concentrated on the petty, trivial, relatively unimportant qualities of a good speaker and failed to concentrate on the big thing that makes a good speaker: knowledge of what he's going to talk about and an intense desire to tell it to the people. The real test of a speaker is not, did he stand straight or did he make any mistakes in grammar, but rather, did the audience get the points he wanted to put across? Most of our top speakers have petty defects. Some of them even have unpleasant voices. And some of the most sought-after speakers in America would flunk a speech course taught by the old negative, don't do this and don't do that method. Yet all these successful speakers or public speakers have one thing in common. They have something to say and they feel a burning desire for other people to hear it. Don't let concern with trivia keep you from speaking successfully in public. Number 2, what causes quarrels? Ever stop to ask yourself what causes quarrels? At least 99% of the time, quarrels start over petty, unimportant matters like this. John comes home a little tired, a little on edge. Dinner doesn't exactly please him, so he turns up his nose and complains. Joan's day wasn't perfect either, so she rallies to her own defense with, well, what do you expect on my food budget? Or maybe I could cook better if I had a new stove like everybody else. This insults John's pride, so he attacks with, now Joan, it's not lack of money, it's simply that you don't know how to manage. And away they go. Before a truce is finally declared, all sorts of accusations are made by each party. In-laws, sex, money, premarital and postmarital promises and other issues will be introduced. Both parties leave the battle nervous, tense. Nothing has been settled, and both parties have new ammunition to make the next quarrel more vicious. Little things, petty thinking, causes arguments. So to eliminate quarrels, eliminate petty thinking. Here's a technique that works. Before complaining or accusing or reprimanding someone or launching a counter-attack in self-defense, ask yourself, is it really important? In most cases, it isn't, and you avoid conflict. Ask yourself, is it really important if he or she is messy with cigarettes or forgets to put the cap on the toothpaste or is late coming home? Is it really important if he or she squandered a little money or invited some people in I don't like? When you feel like taking negative action, ask yourself, is it really important? That question works magic in building a finer home situation. It works at the office too. It works in home-going traffic when another driver cuts in ahead of you, and it works in any situation in life that is apt to produce quarrels. Number 3, John got the smallest office and fizzled out. Several years ago, I observed small thinking about an office assignment destroy a young fellow's chances for a profitable career in advertising. 4 young executives, all on the same status level, were moved into new offices. 3 of the offices were identical in size and decoration. The 4th was smaller and less elaborate. J.M. was assigned the 4th office. This turned out to be a real blow to his pride. Immediately, he felt discriminated against. Negative thinking, resentment, bitterness, jealousy built up. J.M. began to feel inadequate. The result was that J.M. grew hostile towards his fellow executives. Rather than cooperate, he did his best to undermine their efforts. Things got worse. 3 months later, J.M. slipped so badly that management had no choice but to issue him a pink slip. Small thinking over a very small matter stopped J.M. In his haste to feel he was discriminated against, J.M. failed to observe that the company was expanding rapidly and office space was at a premium. He didn't stop to consider the possibility that the executive who made the office assignments didn't even know which one was the smallest. No one in the organization except J.M. regarded his office as the index of his value. Small thinking about unimportant things like seeing your name last on the department route sheet or getting the 4th carbon of an office memo can hurt you. Think big, and none of these little things can hold you back. Number 4, even stuttering is a detail. A sales executive told me how even stuttering is a mere detail in salesmanship, if the fellow has the really important qualities. I have a friend, also a sales executive, who loves to play practical jokes, though sometimes these jokes aren't jokes at all. A few months ago, a young fellow called on me on my practical joking friend and asked for a sales job. The fellow had a terrible stutter, though, and my friend decided right here was a chance to play a joke on me. So the friend told the stammering applicant that he wasn't in the market for a salesman right now, but one of his friends, me, had a spot to fill. Then he phoned me, and boy, did he give this fellow a build-up. Not suspecting anything, I said, send him right over. 30 minutes later, in he walked. The young fellow hadn't said 3 words before I knew my friend was so eager to send him over. I'm Jack R., he said. Mr. X sent me over to talk to you about a job. Almost every word was a struggle. I thought to myself, this guy couldn't sell a dollar bill for 90 cents on Wall Street. I was sore at my friend, but I really felt sorry for this fellow, so I thought the least I could do was to ask him some polite questions while I thought up a good excuse as to why I couldn't use him. As we talked on, however, I discovered this fellow was no stupe. He was intelligent. He handled himself very nicely, but I just couldn't overlook the fact that he stuttered. Finally, I decided I'd wind up the interview by asking one last question. What makes you think you can sell? Well, he said, I learn fast. I like people. I think you've got a good company, and I want to make my money. Now, I do have a speech impairment, but that doesn't bother me, so why should it bother anybody else? His answer showed me he had all the really important qualifications for a salesman. I decided right then to give him a chance, and he's working out very well. Even a speech impairment in a talker's profession is a triviality if the person has the big qualities. Practice these 3 procedures to help yourself think about trivialities. Number 1, keep your eyes focused on the big objective. Many times we're like the salesman who, failing to make the sale, reports to his manager. Yes, but I sure convinced the customer he was wrong. In selling, the big objective is winning sales, not arguments. In marriage, the big objective is peace, happiness and tranquility, not winning quarrels or say I could have told you so. In working with employees, the big objective is developing their full potential, not making issues out of their minor errors. In living with neighbours, the big objective is mutual respect and friendship, not seeing if they can have their dog impounded because once in a while it barks at night. Paraphrasing some military lingo, it is much better to lose a battle and win the war than to win the battle and lose the war. Resolve to keep your eyes on the big ball. Number 2, ask, is it really important? Before becoming negatively excited, just ask yourself, is it really important for me to get all worked up about this? There is no better way to avoid frustration over petty matters than to use this medicine. At least 90% of quarrels and feuds would never take place if we just faced troublesome situations with, is this really important? Number 3, don't fall in the triviality trap. It makes speeches, solving problems, counseling employees, things of those things that really matter, things that make the difference. Don't become submerged under surface issues. Concentrate on important things. Take this test to measure the size of your thinking. In the left-hand column below are listed several common situations. In the middle and the right-hand columns are comparisons of how petty thinkers and big thinkers see the same situation. Check yourself, then decide which will get me where I want to go, petty thinking or big thinking. The same situation handled in 2 entirely different ways. The choice is yours. Situation: expense accounts. The petty thinker's approach figures out ways to increase income through chiseling on expense accounts. The big thinker's approach figures out ways to increase income by selling more merchandise. Situation: conversation. Petty thinker talks about the negative qualities of his friends, the economy, his company, the competition. The big thinker talks about the positive qualities of his friends, his company, and the competition. Situation: progress. Petty thinker believes in retrenchment or at best the status quo. Big thinker believes in expansion. Situation: future. Petty thinker views the future as limited. Big thinker sees the future as very promising. Work. Petty looks for ways to avoid work. Big looks for some more ways and things to do, especially helping others. Situation: competition. Petty thinker competes with the average. Big thinker competes with the best. Situation: budget problems. The petty thinker figures out ways to save money by cutting down on necessary items. The big thinker figures out ways to increase income and buy more of the necessary items. Goals. The petty thinker sets goals low. The big thinker sets goals high. Goals: vision. The petty thinker sees only the short run. The big thinker is preoccupied with the long run. Security. Petty is preoccupied with security problems. The big thinker regards security as a natural companion of success. Companionship. Petty thinker surrounds himself with petty thinkers. Big thinker surrounds himself with persons with large, progressive ideas. And then situation: mistakes. The petty thinker magnifies minor errors, turns them into big issues. The big thinker ignores the errors of little consequence. Remember, it pays in every way to think big. Don't sell yourself short. Conquer the crime of self-deprecation. Concentrate on your assets. You're better than you think you are. Number 2, use the big thinker's vocab. Use big, bright, cheerful words. Use words that promise victory, hope, happiness, pleasure. Avoid words that create unpleasant images of failure, defeat, and grief. Number 3, stretch your vision. See what can be, not just what is. Practice adding value to things, to people, and to yourself. Number 4, get the big view of your job. Really think your present job is important. The next promotion depends mostly on how you think towards your present job. Number 5, think about trivial things. Focus your attention on big objective. Before getting involved in a petty matter, ask yourself, is it really important? Grow big by thinking big. So then the next chapter is how to think and dream creatively, which I will do tomorrow, maybe in 2 parts, because they are quite lengthy. Anyhow, think big today. It's Freedom Friday. Do something that helps you get a bit better view of where you're going. Don't just look at where you are. Think, okay, if I got this job offer and I started here, where could I end up? Or if I started my own business and I became very successful, where would I land? Focus on the ending, not where you are. You need to know where you are, but you need to know where you want to land. That is so much more important than where you are. Where you are, and if you look at it and go, okay, what do I truly want? And then you go about thinking bigger and doing better. And we've all got things to do better on, myself included. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be a very good coach, I don't think, because those that think they've got it all nailed and all sorted, we call them, they have a low teachability index. And if you've got a low teachability index, then you can't learn anymore. And when you can't learn anymore, then you stay stuck. So if you're stuck here, then chances are is you're going backwards. So if you're not working with somebody to help you grow and get bigger, maybe you should think about it. All right. Enjoy your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.